bill number 34-0206. Who speaks to this bill? Senator Francis Heyliger, you may proceed with your introduction.
Good day to the people of the territory. Good day to my colleagues as well as to those in the listening audience. I want to offer Bill 34-0206, and this speaks to an act amending Title 23, Chapter 5, Section 460 of the Virgin Islands Code, repealing reciprocal recognition of firearm licenses for persons that own firearms outside of the Virgin Islands. Inside of our current code, unfortunately, we have a piece of legislation that does exist that allow for individuals that might be coming into the territory that are visitors, travelers, might be relocating here to the Virgin Islands, that there's some sort of reciprocal ability to come in here with their guns. During the last committee hearing where we had an opportunity for the commissioner of the police department to testify, as well as the AG's office, I was very happy that this piece of legislation was unanimously voted out into the Rules and Judiciary Committee, because they all recognize, and even by the admission of the police commissioner, they would like to see this removed out of the VI code. When you decide to travel here to the Virgin Islands, come and visit us. We welcome you. We just don't want you coming with your guns. We don't have a problem with you wishing to relocate here, but at the end of the day, follow the procedure just like every other resident that comes in here to the territory that was born or raised here, that go through the procedures of having to take psychological exams, whether we have to go take classes. With all the issues that we're having with gun violence across the United States, this is, and even here in the territory, this is a loophole for me that we need to close. Also within this section of the law, I want to stress to you that we are not repealing the entire section. We are only repealing the first paragraph, which speaks to private citizens being able to bring in their guns. When it speaks in the second paragraph to law enforcement officers and such, that is still there. We're not touching it because we understand as law enforcement officers, you might have to travel back and forth with your weapons, and we don't have a problem with that. So I'm asking my colleagues for their support as this is an important piece of legislation, as we see that several entities and organizations that did come and testify, to include, like I said, the commissioner and the AG's office was in support of this piece of legislation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Francis Heyliger. We will now move to bill number 34-0225. Who speaks to this bill? Senator Francis Heyliger, you may proceed with your introduction.
Thank you. I offer bill number 34-0225, an act amending Title 5, Virgin Islands Code, Subtitle 2, Chapter 201, Section 2539, to increase the penalties for failure to report certain crimes. This piece of legislation speaks to the unfortunate situations of child abuse, child neglect, sexual assault of our minor children here in our territories. Unfortunately, we have had this piece of legislation in the books that has some very soft, in my opinion, penalties for people that do not speak up, and individuals according to the law that are responsible, that if you see a child or even you suspect that a child is being sexually assaulted, if you know for a fact or you have witnessed or you have an idea that a child is being neglected or physically abused, you are responsible. And the individuals that are listed in the code, such as doctors, some educators, etc., those people have an obligation to report this. For some reason here in our territory, we seem to have this nonchalant behavior when it comes to, unfortunately, the abuse, whether sexual assault, physical, of our children. But we have to put the fear of God in these people so they can understand that you cannot play with the children of this territory. Unfortunately, we've had situations that scandals have rocked our education department. Even here within this institution, we're dealing with our own unfortunate alleged sexual assault situation here. And I'm asking that the members of this committee recognize that we have to create laws to let these people know you cannot play with the children of this territory. This particular piece of legislation changes individuals that do not follow through and report these things, that it is now a felony, as well as they could be facing 2 years in prison. And we also increase the fines for individuals that want to play with the children of this territory. So I'm asking my colleagues, this piece of legislation also was unanimously voted out of the last committee into this committee. So I'm asking my colleagues for their support, and I am looking forward to it headed to the Senate floor, because at the end of the day, as representatives, our job is to create laws to help the people, especially the children of this territory. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Francis Heyliger. Very much. Clerk, Senator Francis Heyliger, you're recognized for your introduction.
Yes, because I speak to this bill. Good afternoon again to my colleagues, to the listening audience. As the sponsor of Bill number 34-0207, an act repealing and reenacting Title 14 Virgin Islands Code, Chapter 41, Section 843, relating to fraudulent claims upon the government of the Virgin Islands, its officers, departments, boards, commissions, or agencies. As a member of this institution for over 23 years, I have worked with senators, I have worked on central staff, and now I'm in the capacity of a senator. And I have seen some things happen on this Senate floor over the years that had concerned me as it relates to certain testimonies. I have also witnessed at times things that are being relayed to the government that people do not understand, that is very dangerous when it comes to passing laws or getting things done by agencies. When someone comes before this body or lies to a government agency, they're not at times understanding the full ramification of what they're doing. When you come to me as an elected official and you blatantly lie to me fraudulently or fictitiously, where you're sharing material information to a subject matter that I may need information for, and because it just sounds good or you just want to brush it off, when you tell me something that is false and I utilize that information to now pass a law for the entire Virgin Islands, you have not only done this institution a disservice, you have done yourself a disservice, but all the people of the Virgin Islands. So when it comes to this particular piece of legislation, we did things where we increased penalties for individuals that chose or continue to feel that it's appropriate to lie to elected officials as well as the government. When it comes to pertinent information, we need to execute our jobs, as well as bringing it into more modern times to include things such as electronic writing, as well as cleaning up some of the ambiguous language and being more specific as to the agencies such as and department, as well as the branches of government, to include executive, legislative, and judicial. By doing so, we have closed up the loophole as for people to attempt to interpret certain things how they see fit when it's specifically outlined in this piece of legislation now. I am asking my colleagues to please support this piece of legislation. I know there was an incident that happened earlier last year where I was very, very much offended as a legislator, where I felt false information was relayed to me on this Senate floor. And this was one of the things that prompted us to really push to upgrade this piece of legislation, as well as add information to the code. So I want to thank my colleagues as well as the AG for their full support of this measure, and hopefully I could get the support that I need on Bill 34-0207. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Francis Heyliger. Senator Francis Heyliger, you are recognized for your point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I would like to thank all of my colleagues here today for their support of all three unanimously of my pieces of legislation. As it relates to Bill 34-206, that speaks to the protection of our territory, the protection of our people as it relates to reciprocation of guns coming into our territory. When it comes to Bill 34-0207, that speaks to the protection of the people as well as the territory, because it is, you cannot lie when it comes to officials, the government, because we are the ones that decide what happens in regards to the entire territory and all the residents that are here. And when you do that, you wreak havoc. We cannot accept it. And when it comes to Bill 34-0225, this specifically has to do, again, with the protection of our children in the territory. All three of these pieces of legislation that has been sponsored by myself, Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, they speak to protection. And at the end of the day, as representatives of the people of this territory, we have to do what is right on behalf of the people. So thank you so much to my colleagues. You are greatly appreciated, and I will see you on the Senate floor during session.
Thank you very much, Senator Francis Heyliger.